As a property manager, it's tempting to tack on extra fees, but that's not how we want to operate our business.
Instead, we make sure we are setting our management commission at a rate where we feel fairly compensated. But that being said, there still are a few ways to make a little extra income.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
These additional income sources provide real value to our clients or our guests by saving them time and often saving them money.
Today, we're going to break down the top ways we earn extra as property managers without nickel and diming anyone.
One of the biggest ways we generate additional income is through design and setup services for our property management clients.
Our clients are real estate investors, and they understand the value of a well set up vacation rental, but they often don't have the time or the desire to do the full setup all by themselves.
And that's where we come in. We offer design and setup services that makes the whole process seamless and pretty much hands-off for the client. We're taking care of everything from selecting furniture to making sure the kitchen is fully stocked with everything that the guests need.
This service saves our clients a ton of time, and it saves them from making costly mistakes. We've seen several client scenarios where they've been cranking away at a setup on the weekends, and time goes by and they're paying all the carrying costs over months and months while they kind of lag behind getting the setup done.
If they would have hired us or someone like us to do the setup from the very beginning, they would have paid more up front, but their property would have already been on the market and generating income for them. And it would have been a lot less stressful for them.
And because we're setting up the property the right way from the start, it saves a lot of headache both from our perspective as a manager and from guests, where we aren't getting complaints for missing amenities or uncomfortable couches.
We typically structure this as a flat design fee plus the cost of materials, but we will also pass along trade discounts to our clients when we can to save them some money on the cost of furnishing and decor.
What we charge for a design fee is going to be treated on a case-by-case basis. There are some times where we're completing a setup that an owner has already started, or sometimes it's a rental that's been operating for some time and needs a refresh, or other times it's an empty house and we need to start from scratch.
Lately, our design fees have ranged anywhere from $500 for a minimal refresh to upwards of $15,000 for a full from scratch whole home setup that also required oversight of some renovations.
So while this is an additional income stream for us, it is also a win for our clients because they save the headache of having to set up the property, deal with contractors, deal with materials, and they end up with a better performing rental at the end of it.
This is a win-win situation. Win-win.
Another way that we generate additional income while actually saving our clients money is by handling a lot of repairs and maintenance issues in-house.
In short-term rentals, things are always going to break. There are appliances that go out, or plumbing issues that pop up, or guests who find creative ways to break things.
When something goes wrong, a lot of property managers will call a third-party service company, which is fine if you're not capable of handling it, but it does mean higher prices and often longer wait times.
We have the capability to fix pretty much anything that might need to be repaired at a home, so if we have the time, we'll often do it ourselves.
Plumbing issues are the most common maintenance issue that we see. Drain blockages or leaks from supply piping are the most common things, and they're also the issues that require the most urgency because either there's a guest in the house and they need to be able to use the amenities, or there's potentially a big water leak.
Pool equipment is another common maintenance issue in our markets. Guest expectations are high when it comes to pool equipment, especially if they are paying for pool heating. So you as a property manager are going to need to respond quickly if something goes wrong.
Pool equipment is mostly sold through distributor networks and is not widely available to the public. So a few years ago, we decided to get an account through a distributor because we were finding that the costs of repairs for pool equipment were really high.
So now we can quickly source parts to fix things like burnt out pool or spa light bulbs, or replace filters, or troubleshoot and rebuild pumps, or repair heaters. With a distributor account, we can buy at wholesale prices, and because we don't have big overhead of some pool maintenance business, we can kind of control what we charge for those things and discount what we're charging owners a bit compared to what a big pool business would charge.
Electrical issues like bad GFCI outlets or breaker issues do pop up from time to time as well, and Steven is usually able to make those quick repairs fairly easily.
The service fee for these repairs depends on the job and the scope of work and the time it takes to repair things, but generally, as a rule of thumb, we'll charge around 10% less than if we were to have to call out a third-party service person.
Beyond saving the client money, it's keeping their property open, because the last thing that you want to have to do is cancel and refund a guest or close your calendar because you can't get a repair handled quickly.
And just to be clear, we don't have the bandwidth to handle everything in-house. There are times when we call in professionals to do big ticket jobs, or sometimes we're just not available. But especially for the small and quick fixes, we try to do those ourselves.
Steven is a very handy person. He's good at figuring out how things work and how to fix them, but he's also done a lot of research, just kind of on the job research as issues come up.
I can't know everything. There's new things that I see all the time. I do a lot of research on YouTube, of all places, and we'll link some of our favorite home repair content creators in the description box below.
So helpful.
While we don't believe in tacking on unnecessary fees to our clients or our guests, there are a few guest fees that do make sense.
These fees aren't about squeezing more money out of guests. They cover real costs. They keep things running smoothly, and in many cases result in a better overall guest experience.
One of the most common fees we charge is for early check-in or late checkout.
If we have a same-day turnover at a property and early check-in is unlikely because we need time for our cleaners to clean and for us to do that final inspection before the guest comes. So in that case, if a guest asks, we'll tell them that we'll let them know in case the property is ready before our check-in time.
If the night before is not booked and the guest asks in advance if they can check in early, then we'll usually say that if they want to guarantee an early check-in, that will require us blocking the night before, and therefore we'll be charging a fee.
But if a guest messages us on the day of check-in and they're asking for an early check-in, we check and see if it impacts our cleaning or inspection schedule, and if it doesn't, we'll let them check in an hour or two early for free.
The same basic logic applies to late checkouts. So we have a 24-hour notice requirement that we list in our house manual if guests would like to request a late checkout.
If we have a same-day turnover, we do not allow late checkouts, even for a fee. The window between guests on a same-day turnover is small. We want to make sure our cleaners aren't stressed, and we also have time to complete that inspection before the next guest arrives.
If the night is open, then it depends on how late the guest wants to stay. If it's just for an hour or so, then we'll typically allow it without a fee.
But if they want to stay longer, we will charge a fee. And that fee depends on two factors, and that is how long past the checkout time they want to stay and how likely that property would be to receive a same-day booking.
Since we operate in markets where same-day bookings are very common, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to block a night for free when there is a high likelihood of it being booked. So we'll need to either deny the late checkout request or charge a fee that will compensate for potentially losing that booked night.
Makes sense.
Another guest fee that we think is sensible to charge is a pet fee, although our general preference is not to allow pets.
While most pet owners are respectful and their dogs well behaved, we've had enough bad incidents to leave a poor taste in our mouths.
The biggest issue we run into are carpet stains, excessive hair, or owners not cleaning up after their pets while they do their business in the yard.
Because of this, we typically advertise our rental properties as pet-free, although if people ask, we will sometimes make an exception depending on the size and breed of the dog, and always for an extra fee.
How much we charge depends on which property it is and how long the stay is, but the fee usually ranges between $75 and $150.
But before you start applying pet fees or thinking that you can keep animals completely off of your rental property, there's one thing that you have to keep in mind.
Airbnb has strict regulations when it comes to service animals and emotional support animals, and many states do too, and this has become a point of confusion with some of our management clients.
For example, in our state of California, we have clients who have requested to not have any animals on their property, regardless of pet fee or no pet fee. But by law, we cannot deny a service animal or charge an additional fee for them being there.
As a homeowner or host or property manager, you do have some rights when it comes to asking guests questions about their animal, but those regulations vary by state. So our advice is to review your state regulations or any state-specific guidelines that Airbnb or Verbo has published.
Pet. He's my emotional support animal.
So that wraps up this overview of how we earn extra income as property managers without nickel and diming our clients or our guests.
If you have any questions, or maybe you have a way to generate some extra income for your business, leave us a comment below and we'll link another video here on the screen we think you might want to watch next.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.